The sun was setting behind the golden mountains, painting the sky with shades of fire. A young man, Edward, sat on a stone near the river, watching the water flow endlessly. An old sage, wrapped in a worn-out cloak, stood beside him and spoke in a deep, wise voice. "If you waste just a small part of your day, do you know how many years of your life will be lost?" Edward frowned. "What do you mean?" The sage picked up a handful of sand and let it slip through his fingers. "Just like this sand, time slips away, and those who waste it lose more than they can imagine." Paused, then whispered. "Leonardo da Vinci once said, 'Time waits for no one.'" Benjamin Franklin warned, "Lost time is never found again." The greatest men of history never wasted a single moment. Edward smirked. "I still have plenty of time. I'll start working hard tomorrow." The sage sighed. "Tomorrow?" He pointed toward the flowing river. "This water never stops. Just like time, it will never wait for you." That night, Edward heard something that changed his destiny forever. The morning sun had already climbed high, yet Edward was still in bed. The village was alive. Blacksmiths hammering iron, farmers tending to their fields, and merchants selling goods in the bustling marketplace. But Edward? He stretched lazily, yawned, and turned over to sleep again. By midday, he finally woke up, strolled out of his house, and found his friends gathered under an old oak tree. They were laughing, playing dice, and wasting time talking about useless things. "Life is long, my friends." Edward grinned as he tossed a stone into the nearby pond. "There's always tomorrow to work hard." His friend William, however, was different. He was already returning from the market, carrying books and scrolls. "You're wasting your days, Edward," William said, shaking his head. "Time is a treasure, and you spend it like a fool." Edward laughed. "Relax, my friend. Life is meant to be enjoyed." "Enjoyment is good, but what will you have when time runs out?" Edward ignored him and went back to joking with his friends. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Edward continued his carefree life, while William grew wiser, stronger, and more skilled. The contrast was clear. One valued time while the other threw it away, and soon Edward would pay the price. Edward's teacher does not look at him with anger, but with a deep, thoughtful compassion. There is a strange concern in his eyes, as if he realizes that Edward is wasting the most precious moments of his life without any thought. The teacher takes a deep breath and says to Edward, "You are wasting time, and the precious moments of your life are slipping from your hands." Edward leans back in his chair with ease and says carelessly, "Teacher, my life has just begun. There's plenty of time." Places a clock in front of Edward, its hand moving every second. Then he looks into Edward's eyes and says, "Think. This clock's hand is moving every second. Every passing second is stealing a piece of your life from you." Edward becomes slightly uneasy. He watches the clock's hand moving forward without stopping. 1 second, then another, and another. The teacher continues speaking. "You think you have time, but in reality you don't have time, only an illusion of it. Every passing moment is taking your life away from you. Every day you think, 'I will start working hard tomorrow,' but have you ever thought, what if tomorrow never comes?" Edward's face turns pale. His heart starts beating faster. For the first time, he realizes that he had been wasting a precious part of his life in mere heedlessness. From here, Edward's way of thinking begins to change. But the real transformation is yet to come. The cold dawn painted the sky in shades of gold and crimson as Edward sat by the monastery's stone wall, watching the first light break through the mist. His master's words echoed in his mind. "A man who wastes today has already lost tomorrow." For the first time, Edward saw his life for what it was. A series of wasted days filled with empty promises to himself. He had been waiting for the perfect moment, not realizing that every moment slipping away was already perfect. His jaw clenched. No more waiting. No more wasting time. That morning, Edward made a vow. If time was life, he would never waste another second. Waking up at dawn, instead of sleeping until noon, Edward forced himself to rise with the sun. The cold morning air bit into his skin, but he welcomed it, reminded him he was alive, that he still had time to change. Mastering new skills. Instead of spending hours in meaningless chatter, Edward began learning. He studied philosophy, mathematics, and the art of war. Where others wasted time, he invested it. Every second counts. He carried a small hourglass, watching the sand slip away. Every grain was a reminder. Use it or lose it forever. When his friends laughed, calling him obsessed, he only smiled, because he knew something they didn't. Edward walked through the bustling streets of the town, his books clutched tightly in his hands. The cold wind bit at his face, but it was nothing compared to the sharp words of his so-called friends. "Look at him. He thinks he's a scholar now," one of them jeered. "Edward, why waste your life with books? Come, enjoy the present," another mocked. Laughter echoed around him, but Edward kept walking. Deep inside, doubt gnawed at him. Am I really doing the right thing? What if they're right? That night, as Edward sat by the dim candlelight, his mind waged war against itself. What if I fail? What if I'm just wasting my time? What if I'm not meant for greatness? He stared at the old clock on the wall. Each tick was a reminder. Time was slipping away. Then his master entered the room, his eyes filled with wisdom. He placed a hand on Edward's shoulder and said, "Time only respects those who respect it." Edward's doubts faded like mist in the morning sun. He clenched his fists. No matter what they say, I will keep going. Years had passed. The boy who once wasted his days in idleness was now a man of vision and purpose. Edward, through relentless hard work, had mastered the art of mechanical engineering. One fateful evening, the entire town gathered in the grand hall. The murmurs of curiosity filled the air. On a wooden table lay an intricate device, something never seen before. Edward stepped forward and addressed the crowd. "For centuries, time has ruled us, but today I present to you something that will help mankind master it." With a swift motion, he unveiled the first-ever portable mechanical clock. Gasps of astonishment filled the room. A clock that could be carried anywhere. "This will change the way the world moves." From that day forward, Edward's name was etched into history as the man who gave time its true value. Edward, now an old man, stood before a group of young students, his eyes filled with wisdom and fire. He lifted his timepiece, his greatest invention, and said in a firm voice, "Time is the most valuable treasure you will ever own. If you do not respect it, it will stop respecting you." The students sat in silence, absorbing the weight of his words. Edward continued, "I was once like you, wasting my days thinking I had forever. But time is ruthless. It gives second chances to no one. You either master it or you lose everything." He paused, looking each student in the eye before delivering his final powerful words. "Your life is ticking away and every second matters. What will you do with it?" If this story inspired you, then don't let it stop here. Like this video because time is precious and so is knowledge. What will you do with your time? Subscribe now because life-changing stories like this must reach you first. Share this video with someone who wastes time. Maybe this will change their life forever. More motivational stories? Link in the description.